I've actually already done a review of the new Yao Legacy trucks, and I did it where I compared them with the Carver C5 and the new Solride trucks, because those three are in their own category as transition surf skates for traditional skateboarders. So if you haven't seen that review yet, just click the link in the video above to watch that. But in that video, all of the truck breakdowns got buried at the end of the video, so I wanted to do just a dedicated video where I show you how to take apart the Yao Legacy as well as how to modify it. Now, the first thing that I want to point out about the Yao Legacy, which I actually didn't point out in my first review video because at the time I actually wasn't even aware of it, and that is that with these Yao Surf Cruisers with the Legacy trucks, you actually have different models that have 3 different hanger widths. So the one that I reviewed in the first video is this one right here, and this hanger width is 149 millimeters wide, which is about a ½ inch narrower than the Carver CX, to give you a frame of reference. But then you have other models that have a hanger width of 139 millimeters, that's what you see right here. And then there's even other models like you see here that have even narrower hangers at 129 millimeters wide. So if you're looking to purchase a Yao Legacy Surf Cruiser, that's the first thing you should be aware of, is that hanger width, because that hanger width makes a very big difference in the ride. So the net effect of that narrower hanger is that means that your pumping is a lot less efficient. You generate a lot less forward momentum with it. And so obviously, if this model here that's a ½ inch narrower than the Carver CX feels that way, then these models with the even narrower hanger are going to have even more of that effect. So when you buy your Yao Surf Cruiser, check your models to make sure which hanger width you're getting. And then one more quick thing to know about these models before I break the truck down is that in my first review, we reviewed this model that really is pretty flat towards the front here and doesn't have a nose. And you'll see in that video that my riders were mentioning that, but you need to be aware of that's just the one model. They have other models that do have noses. So if you're looking for a nose on your Surf Cruiser, then make sure that you get the right model for that as well. So the Yao Legacy is a traditional kingpin truck design, which means that your kingpin is on the opposite side of the hanger from your pivot point. Whereas with the Carver C5, this is a reverse kingpin system where you see the kingpin is on the same side of the hanger as your pivot point. But the way they've designed this traditional kingpin, you see that it has much wider range of motion than most traditional kingpin truck designs. You'll also see on the Yao Legacy how they have reversed the kingpin where the kingpin is upside down instead of having your nut up top. And that has the effect of making it so that you can do coping grinds with no problem. That kingpin isn't going to interfere with that. So let's start by just taking apart this front truck, and all we're going to do is remove this kingpin. And this will unscrew and pull out here. There's our kingpin. And then on top, we have a washer with a bushing. Then we can remove our hanger. And then here we have a tall barrel and a flat washer. And that's what's on front. On the rear, we have just a traditional kingpin truck. So same thing here. We're going to just remove our kingpin nut. And now we have a washer and a bushing, our truck hanger, and followed by another bushing and washer. So modifying the Yao Legacy is very easy. All you have to do is swap out the bushings. You just need to know what bushing sizes you're using. So the Legacy uses different bushings for all 4 bushings. So this is our front truck and this is our rear truck. On the front board side, they use a tall barrel. And for the front road side, they use a standard cone. And on the rear board side, they use a street barrel. And on the rear road side, they use a short street cone. And I've measured all of these with the durometer gauge. And these 3 here measure 90 A durometer. And this one here, which is the board side of the rear, measures 95 A durometer. So you can use that as a frame of reference to swap out your bushings with Riptide bushings to give you the feel that you're looking for. Another way to modify the Legacy is to replace your pivot cups, and the Legacy uses the exact same pivot cups as the Yao Meraki, so you can get these from my website or from Riptide directly, and this will eliminate any pivot cup squeaking. Alright, so now let's put this back together, starting with our rear. First, we will take our washer and our street barrel, followed by our truck hanger, followed by our short street cone, and a washer, and our kingpin nut. So there's our rear. Now let's do our front truck. First, we start with our flat washer, followed by our tall barrel bushing, followed by our truck hanger, followed by the standard cone bushing and washer, and then your kingpin is going to fit through all of this and then screw into the truck base plate. And that is our Yao Legacy.